One of the things I've had the good fortune and kind of the opportunity to see was what makes high performers different. And in my first career, I worked around some brilliant people, and I had great mentors, and I had a lot of good examples. When I got into the financial services industry, I would go out to an agency or a brokerage firm, and typically I would do some form of a motivational type talk. And it was invariably the top producers would come to me and say, you know, we want to talk to you. In fact, I had no idea I was going to be a coach. I mean, I was an ex-sales manager. Coaching kind of came natural, played a lot of ball, so I understood coaching. And I guess I liked the coaching process, but I never thought about it until they approached me and said, we like what you're saying, and we like the idea that you are expressing. So I started to think about it, and I started to analyze these great men and women that I actually had a chance to meet and look at what made them different. And I came up with an acronym, and I call it S.E.C.R.E.T. It's the secrets to being a high performer. And I really don't think it matters if it's a financial services industry or any industry for that matter. But the S of the S.E.C.R.E.T. acronym stands for sense of purpose. High performers care more. They want it more. They have more desire. They have more commitment because they see what they're doing in a different way. They're not going to work. They have a vocation. They're looking at the world differently. They're building a business. And they're not just it's not a sales job. It's a business. And they want to express that in their values. They want to express that in their daily actions. So they have clearly defined goals. They have a desire to achieve something. Sometimes it's called a vision. So that's one of the key characteristics. I don't think I've ever seen a high performer stay a high performer. Now, they can sometimes get off to a good start, but to stay there, you have to have a sense of purpose. Now, in this industry, if you can't see it, you really need to see it. Our world needs you because people are dying because they're stressed out. What is your role? Is to help them achieve their goals, achieve their objectives, make sure they're doing the right things consistently. Nick Murray talks about it in his new book called Behavioral Counseling. And really hit home with me because it really demonstrates some of the things I've seen with my clients who are top achievers. He said, your role certainly is to be technically competent, certainly is to get out there and help people solve problems. But your role is also to help people do the things they need to do when they need to do them, whether they feel like it or not. And make those important decisions and stick with them and not let their emotions get carried away so that they start to do things basically not in their best self-interest. So you have a tremendously important role, and everybody I've seen that stays a high performer has that kind of passion. And it goes back to being goal-oriented, seeing that their purpose is a real significant purpose. The other next characteristic, which is the letter E stands for, is the commitment to excellence. The commitment to excellence goes in a lot of the ways. First of all, technical competencies. Just getting a certification, that's just the first step of the process. Going to the workshops, keep educating yourself, getting the next level. These are critical things that differentiate high performers. People ask me, do you need a CFP? I said, well, it's important for several reasons. First of all, having the acronym says to everybody you're trying to communicate with that you're committed to your business. You've dedicated yourself, and that's what creates an insecurity for a client. They know that you've gone through the education, that you've made that commitment. So education is critical to becoming a high performer, and it's critical to staying a high performer. The other thing is other skills. A lot of times we focus so much on the technical side, we forget about the other pieces of the puzzle. We have to continue to improve our sales skills, our communication skills, our listening skills. These are all components which we talked about a little bit behaviorally. Understanding people's behavior styles is a huge skill. And if you don't address it, you're only hurting yourself. So when you look at commitment to excellence, it's not just technical skills. This letter C stands for contribution. And this is a really interesting study that was done by Bill Brooks as well. He looked at performers over a spectrum like the bell curve. And the lowest 20%, where they were focused was on commission, where their focus was on self-preservation. The middle group, where their focus was on their product, their company, or their ego. That the top performers, the top 20%, the 15% were focused on clients' needs. The top performers will focus on clients' wants. Now that means you have to take a little extra initiative. That means you have to get to know the person. You got to really understand what's motivating that person, what makes them tick. And top performers have a way of figuring that out and focusing on what the people want. So they have the highest retention rates, they get the most referrals. It doesn't happen by accident. R stands for reflection. Reflection is something that every person needs to put into their life. For whatever, any time you want to improve, you have to sit back and look at what you're doing. Because we're creatures of habit. And when we get into a habit pattern, we don't know we can't see ourselves effectively. So you got to step back and look at things, and you have to have a system to look at things. That's one of the reasons the OCS system is a good system, I think. It's your inventory control system. It enables you to see what's working, what's not, and where do you have to improve your process. And if you don't know where to improve it, well, you're not going to know where to focus, you're not going to improve it. You're just going to keep repeating the same things over and over again. So reflection is very important, and it applies to every aspect of our life. You have to sit back and look at your relationships with your family. You have to look at your health. You can't just go blindly and find out that all of a sudden, you're not meeting your objectives, and you don't know why, and you don't know what's working, and all of a sudden your health gets affected, and all of a sudden your relationships get affected. So high performers reflect a little bit more. They kind of look back at things. They have systems that help them analyze what's going on a little more effectively. And it's not easy to get in place, so, but with the right help, it's definitely something that they take initiative to do. Because really, how much you care is demonstrated in your behavior. It's as simple as that. If you keep in touch, you solve problems quickly, you do the extra things, you educate people, you show them, you care by your appreciation, client events, appreciation events. They'll give you the referrals, because that's part of what high performers do. They get more referrals than anybody else. So they get off to a better start with a new client, the sales cycles are shorter, the results are that much higher. The next letter E stands for energy management. And in some ways, this may be the most crucial of all, because it's our energy that we transfer to people. Now, if we don't manage our energy properly, we're sending off a different commitment level. We're sending out a different message to our clients. And a lot of it's subliminal. They can feel it. They can understand it. You're just not as sharp. You're not in that zone. You know how the sports field talks about the zone? Well, the same thing happens in any profession, especially sales. When you get in the zone, if you feel like you can conquer the world, everything's fluid, everything's happening, it's all going good. Well, to maintain that is not easy. When you think about sales and you think about our own confidence and our own self-perception, we're going to get rejected 7 out of 10 times. Now, if you let that happen, eventually it starts to erode your confidence. So you have to add things into your schedule. You have to add wins into your repertoire. That's why, it's one of the reasons physical fitness is so important. Not only does it keep you healthy, but it makes you feel good about yourself. You work out, you pump yourself up, you look good, you fit into the old suits, all those little wins are psychological. And they make a difference because they even out some of the losses you have and some of the frustrations you have with your sales career. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the best in the world and still be batting 300. You're an all-star in the pros. In sales, you're a superstar. So you have to have a method. You have to have a process. I call them daily habits. You have to have ways to replenish your energy. One of the best ways is reading. Reading, you have to put it into your schedule every day. 30, 45 minutes of the right kind of reading. It makes you more educated. It gives you ideas. It makes you feel good about yourself. Exercise. Got to put it in your daily schedule. You have to do something that keeps you physically fit. Your diet. You got to watch what you eat. You have to make sure you're keeping the fuel the right way. So because sales is a tough business, and you get knocked around all the time, you got to have ways to replenish your energy. Now, the letter T for secret stands for time management. In reality, we can't manage time. Nobody ever has, nobody ever will. We all have the same amount of time. What it really is time utilization. How do you use your time is the key to higher achievers being more effective than lower achievers. They spend their time on the right things. They don't waste their time. You know, the fact is, many times I'll talk to advisors and they say, I want to make $200,000 a year. And I'll say, well, okay, is everything you're doing worth $100 an hour? And I'll have them do a time analysis study. And I'll find out that 50% of the time they're doing $10 an hour work. I say, well, it doesn't work that way, guys. If you want to make $200,000 a year, you have to be doing $200,000 work. You have to be doing $100 an hour work on a regular basis. 2,000 hours times 100, you make you $200,000. That's one of the reasons you have to hire an assistant. That's one of the reasons you have to learn how to delegate. That's one of the reasons you have to focus on the things that are going to make you most valuable. Your value is in your education and ability to solve problems. So you have to spend your time studying, learning. You have to spend your time in front of clients or trying to be in front of clients. You have to spend your time showing people you appreciate them and doing the client events and doing the things that get you the most value for your time. And that's why you have to build a team to help you with that endeavor. Because if you have to try to do it all, you're just not. And the fact is, a lot of people try and they just inhibit their own success, and they don't reach the potential that they all have for themselves. And the last component, which most of the high producers are trying to get to or have either got to, and they're working on it, is systems. Systems are critical. Systems are critical for marketing effectively, for client development, for managing your sales process, for managing your resources that you're responsible for making sure things happen when they're supposed to happen, whether you're there or not. So in conclusion, the secret model applies to virtually any industry. Because when you look at it in how it's built, sense of purpose, commitment to excellence, focus on clients, focus on and reflecting what you do, managing your energy, managing your time, and then putting in systems so you're performing consistently, meeting client objectives. That's the model of a high achiever.